If you have ever wished that you were more confident around some kind of situation, that you could show up and just show up generating this confidence, feeling good in your body, feeling energized, not worrying about what other people are going to be thinking about you, or freaking out and acting not confident and anxiety ridden and all of that stuff, then this is the episode for you. I'm Angela Barnard. You can call me Ange, and I'm all about helping you intentionally design your life in a way that feels right to you, that aligns with your strengths, with your values, and how you want to show up in this world. That's what I'm about. So in this episode, I got 5 tips for you to become more confident and show up with that kind of confidence-related energy, right? That's what I'm talking about in this episode. So before we get on with our tips, I want to say, if you have not left us a review on the show and you've been listening, please leave us a review because that helps people find the show. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Put out those good vibes out there. All right. Anyhow, moving on. So I want to give you guys another little update with my life, what's happening over here. I just got back from traveling for the week. I was in Utah, Park City, Utah, with my husband and his family. We were out there because my husband wanted to go skiing for his birthday. And I have never been to Park City, Utah. I haven't actually ever been to Utah. I can't say that anymore, right? But I've been there now. And I never knew what it was like to be around the skiing environment. Like growing up, I didn't have that experience. I did grow up in Michigan. It's cold there. But the whole skiing life, like I didn't even know what that was about. So anyways, I was around this environment of people just so excited about the snow. Like in the coffee shops, there's signs that say, pray for snow. On your receipts, it says pray for snow. And they're excited. They want the snow so that they can go play in it. And it really got me thinking about just even my own views around snow. And then this got me thinking about my views about everything. So like around snow, like you hear a lot of people complain about weather like that. Sucks, it's cold, blah, 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 right? Complaining, right? And then you see this whole other group of people that are so excited about the same thing, snow. And it's like you can see where people see the world differently, right? And I just wonder in my own life and maybe in your life, is there something that maybe you've been complaining about that actually you could be seeing opportunity in? Like there's goodness there. Like you can bring joy to that situation and that thing. It takes a different level of awareness to go there. Playing, seeing the world as like, ooh, this is something I can play in. Ooh, I'm curious. What's happening here? What can we do with this? Versus seeing the world as like, this sucks. And we're stuck. It's a different kind of energy. So it was really cool to be in that space. And I felt like a kid in the candy store. Or like, it's almost Christmas. Like, that kind of feeling when you're like excited and you can't wait. Like, I just wanted to explore all the things. So I did my first float therapy session. I've never done that before. I've always wanted to do that. So I got to do that. And it's basically, for those that don't know, it's like you go into this little pod and it's almost like a little pool, like kind of looking hot tub thing. And you get in there and you shut the pod and you're able to float because there's so much salt in there. And so you're just like laying there and you float and you kind of get into this meditative state. And then I did an infrared light therapy session. So I went into this little room with a salt lamp kind of wall. It's like filled with those salt rocks. Is that what I'm trying to say? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so there was a bunch of that. And then there was an infrared light therapy mat that you lay on, and it emits the different light waves and all that good stuff. And anyhow, it was super relaxing. I loved it. I was like, and I don't do that stuff for myself. Like, I don't want to be that person anymore. Like, I want to treat myself more, but like, I just don't. I guess it's because I'm kind of cheap about that stuff. Let me just keep it real, okay? But like, I was just like, I'm starting to see things very differently. We're going to talk about that in this episode, okay? Don't you worry. We're going to talk about like generating those feelings that you want to feel, thinking like the person you want to be. And what kind of person do I want to be? I want to be the kind of person that is willing to invest in myself, and just in my own mental health and my own well-being and all that. So I've just been like changing the way I see things and being willing to like give money to those things as I would want anyone else to do, practice what you preach. Like, I'm all about investing into my mind, but I don't often think about my body and like what's making my body feel good. I know it's all connected, but you know what I mean? Like it's a different thing for me. It's a new space. So we also got to do this sleigh ride where you go up into the mountains. Like these horses take you up in this wagon, or carriage, whatever you want to call it, all the way up into the mountain, and you go to this lodge. And then you have a meal there, and it's just like so dreamy, twinkly lights, all cozy, warm feels. And then I made for my husband's birthday an almond cake. I found this recipe and I made it with my mother-in-law, and it was like this healthy almond cake with like coconut milk frosting and berries and all that stuff. It was so yummy. I loved that. And then I also made this soup, this Tuscan chicken soup. It was like all the veggies and some beans, and it was so good. And that was new to me, and I was so excited because it was new to me. It was different. And I want you to be thinking, I talk about this all the time, about generating dopamine for you, doing things that are new and exciting to you. You don't have to go out somewhere new, like completely, like, in a different environment if you're short on cash or whatever the heck's happening, or it's like you're worried about COVID stuff, or it's really cold and you don't want to go out there, whatever. Like in your own space, you can still generate different experiences for you. Like I'm talking about, like I cooked those different meals that were new to me, and I was so excited about it. It made me feel good to do that, to experience something new. I went snowshoeing for the first time. Loved it. I'm like, it makes me more excited to like move back to live in a colder climate, because now I can go out and snowshoe, but I'm not getting away from my hotness. That's why I'm trying to generate this life where I have a place on the coast of South Carolina where it's nice and hot and steamy, and then I have a place that's a little bit colder near family, yada yada. You can design your life any way you want. And I'm saying this, what frustrates me a little bit, guys, is that I think a lot of people are like, ooh, easy for you to do that because of XYZ. And I want to say that if that thought shows up, I want to challenge you on that thought, because the only reason it may be easier, I'm putting this in quotation marks, for me, is because I believe it's possible for me. Okay? I believe it's possible for me. I didn't always believe that. I didn't always show up with that kind of mindset. And that's what we're talking about today, is confidence, right? So let me go to this quote that I love my quotes, love them. So here's one. Most people live in a restricted circle of potential. And this is a quote by William James. He goes on to say, often people think of confidence as something that the lucky few are born with and the rest are left wishing for. Not true. Confidence is not a fixed attribute. It's the outcome of the thoughts we think and the actions we take. No more, no less. It's not based on your actual ability to succeed at a task, but your belief in your ability to succeed. Right? So, what are some of the tips that I have to generate confidence? Because remember, confidence is really like a state of being. It's an energy that we're giving off. Energy is not created or destroyed, right? It's generated from one form to another. So if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel confidence because you're generating some kind of like energy that is not confidence yet, you can transform that into confidence. So how does that work out for us? I like to say my number one tip is that first thing in the morning, you do something that makes yourself proud. First thing in the morning, because we're shifting that energy. We're going from this low, relaxing state. Maybe you're sleeping, right? And then we're going to shift that energy to this higher energetic state. So one of the things that you can do easily is just simply move your body. What I love about moving your body first thing in the morning and exercising is that you're doing something that makes you proud. Like I've never regretted working out and moving my body. It's never been a regret of mine. And I feel like it always like shifts my energy, where even if I'm feeling down, I can quickly move my body and I can start to feel so much better. So this is why I implemented for the month of February on Facebook, the challenge, the 5-minute February daily workout challenge, where I go live every day of February at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can pop on anytime though. And you do this 5-minute workout that I put there, and you can feel the difference in how you feel. So if you're not a part of that, go check that out. You can actually just search on Facebook, 5-minute February daily workout challenge, and you'll probably find it. Otherwise, I'll put the link into the detail section of this episode. And anyways, if you missed the start of it, don't be doing that stuff to yourself where you're like, well, didn't start it, so I'm just not going to jump in. And like, no, that's not the kind of mindset that you need to have. Think about it as like every little bit counts for you. You start where you are. That's the kind of person that you are. You're not one that makes excuses for why you don't show up. That ain't you, right? Okay, so the first tip that I have for you is to make yourself proud first thing in the morning. And a way that you can do that simply is by moving your body. That's going to make you feel better and you're going to show up with more confidence. It's really interesting because if you really watch yourself, like you are more brave when you feel good, right? Because the lower energy levels, that's where the fear and the anxiety live. So don't, like a lot of times people will, like my clients, with my career coaching clients, they may need to call someone and they're like, or reach out to someone about some opportunity and they feel really nervous about it. And I will tell them, hey, what you can do is before you get on the phone with them, do something to make yourself feel good. Move your body, dance around, do whatever it is to get that energy flowing. And then you show up from a feel good state. Don't be trying to show up from a low energy state. That's like not going to serve you like in those moments, right? Set yourself up for success, move, start to feel good, and then do stuff from that feel good place. That's something I've been practicing in my life is like, where sometimes my mind, like I get in my head and I'm like, I need to force this. I need to do this, like, and I get with the ego starts getting involved in that. It's like, just do it right now. Just get it over with, like that kind of mentality. And I've realized that I don't always show up well when I start off on that note with that kind of energy. So even yesterday we got home late from traveling and I was like, man, I really got to get my podcast episode out. Should I just like hammer it out now? Like I'm tired, whatever. And I was like, no, like I'm not going to show up with that kind of energy. Yeah, it might be out a little bit later than I had wanted it to, but I want to show up from a feel good place. And I know that there's things I got to do. I got to sleep before I do that because I'm tired. I got to get that sleep and then I'm going to move my body and then I'm going to do my meditation and then I'm going to show up and I'm going to show up well. So just think about setting yourself up for success. Do something that makes yourself proud first. Take care of you first before you think about showing up with confidence for anyone else. It needs to start from you, come in from you, right? And then it generates out. All right. So second tip is to focus on what you want. Bring your attention to the things that it is that you desire. And this is a little tricky here. Let me clarify this because sometimes when we focus on what we want so much, we can start to generate a lack feeling. Like we're like, I just really want this. Like, for example, we're trying to sell our tiny home right now. And I sometimes can find myself being like, I just want this tiny house to sell so that we can like get all the other plans in place. And like, I start to feel like this scarcity, like I want this just to be done and over with. Right. And then I sit back and I realize that when it comes to energy, not just woo-woo stuff, like when it comes truly to energy, becoming a match for something, turning to the right radio station to bring the music in, right? You have to align with that thing. And in the way that we align is by acting like it's a done deal. Like it's already done. I don't got to worry about it. So when I say focus on what it is you want, I say focus really on the feeling you want to have. Like if my house was sold right now, how would I feel? I'd feel peace. I'd be like, cool, like everything is working out. Like things are falling into place. So how can I try to like install that belief now? Those feelings of peace now. So I was just telling someone the other day, like think about this as if like, let's say you ordered a package off of Amazon and you ain't got to worry about it. It's on its way. It's coming to you. There's no reason to fret. It'll be there soon. Like really seeing things like that and trusting like it's all happening for me. That was our mantra the other day on our 5-minute challenge is that everything is happening for me. Why? Because God is for you, period, non-negotiable. And if it does not feel that way, it just means it's not over yet. The story isn't over. It's just a chapter in the book. I always am reminding myself of that too because even what happened the other day? So we're in Utah and the weather was getting crazy out in the Midwest and we were supposed to lay over in Detroit. And we started noticing that the weather was going to be crazy and we're like, ooh, this is not looking good. There's going to be cancellations. We're going to get stuck there based on the weather. We're seeing that. So we called to change our flights. And first, everyone's like kind of frazzled and annoyed with the whole situation. And I kept telling myself in my mind, this is happening for you in some way. Yeah, our trip's going to be cut short. Yeah, maybe this is going to cost us money to change our flights, blah, blah, blah. Like, but this is happening for you. So anyways, Ian was working this out, and he's an amazing negotiator. And they were wanting to charge me to change all the flights and everything. And he worked it out. So they didn't end up charging him. But they ended up moving our flight to an earlier flight. And it really didn't cause us to miss out on much. We didn't pay for it. Didn't cause us to miss out on much. And we got home way earlier versus us getting home at midnight. And I really believe, like, I know this is just a small thing and someone can be like, this is dumb, Ange, right? But I really believe, like, I noticed in my life where when I flip the switch, when I start to get frazzled and freak out and I flip the switch to being like, everything is happening for you. Like, this is happening for you, Ange. I know it feels hard right now. I know it sucks, but just trust this is happening for you. And I swear, like, I start to see things unfold and I'm like, that was pretty sweet. Thanks, God. That was pretty sweet that you showed up. But it's me trusting in the moment as things are happening, trusting the process. This morning, I was listening to a message from Joel Osteen, and I love Joel Osteen. Some people don't. Some people want to hate on him because they're like, oh, he's a, prosperity preacher or something. I don't know. But I know for me, like, I like his energy. And I know for me, I want my cup to be filled. Like, life can be so hard sometimes. And like, I'm sorry, but when I want someone to talk to me, I don't want them to inspire me, or listening to inspire message, which is what I'm trying to say here. I don't want to hear about all the bad things. I'm sorry, I don't, because I already feel like that sometimes. I want to be lifted. And that's kind of like how he preaches, is that he's sharing like this goodness with you. And I like that. And some people are like, no, he doesn't talk about bad stuff ever. I don't like him. Well, I ain't about, like, I want to grow. I want to be better. And there's too much bad stuff happening sometimes in my own life. I need to be lifted. I need my cup to be filled. That's what I'm looking for. That's the kind of messages I'm looking for. Because I think sometimes, too, this is a side note. Forgive me. But I think sometimes, too, I've also received this from other people that they didn't align with me, where they have said things like, I just feel like you act like everything is always awesome. Like, it's always going to be that. That's not realistic. That's not how it is. And I feel like, you know, I know that everything doesn't always feel awesome. Like, we're human beings having a human experience, but I get to decide what my brain focuses on. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to focus on the crappiness. I don't, you know? So anywho, why don't I? Because it doesn't make me feel good. And I want to feel good in this world. I know I'm not always going to feel that way. But if I can do it, like, what's in my own control is like how I see things, my thoughts, right? And then essentially how you feel, because your thoughts come from how you feel. Why wouldn't I get my thoughts to focus on something that makes me feel good? Right? Okay. So where was I going with this, guys? Oh, I was listening to Joel Osteen, back it up. And he was talking about the story about how, like, a baby eagle, how the mom has to, she lays the egg, right? And she has to just sit around and wait until the baby is out. There's no signs that the baby is even in there, right? She has to keep this faith, in a sense, as the baby is getting created, growing inside the egg. But versus like humans, where we know when we're having a baby, we know we getting bigger, right? Like, we're hurting, all the things. That's because, you know, baby's coming. But as an eagle, there is no knowing. You just trust the process, and then, you know, the baby will come out. And the thing is, so he's basically saying, like, in our own lives, like, trust that the work is being done, right? Can you have that faith? Can you trust in the process? So what I'm saying here, make the long story short, is like, when you're focusing on what you want, act as if it's already happening. It's on its way to you. Focus on how you want to feel. What can I do today to feel what I want to feel? Yeah, I want that job. I really want that job. And if I had that job, I would feel so confident. I would feel so much peace, or I would feel joy, or whatever, right? How can I generate that now in my life so I can be a match for that thing to come? That's what I'm trying to say. I know that sounds woo to some people, but I'm telling you, I have seen working with people, guys, working with them for the past 8 years. I've seen when we focus more on getting their energy right, getting them to feel good, everything else seems to flow. It ends up aligning. Yeah, there's strategy behind it. Like even with my career coaching clients, yeah, we're going to work on your resume. Yeah, we're going to work on how you talk to people. But most importantly, we're going to work on your energy so that you're a match. And then you don't sabotage the opportunities that come your way because you don't align with it. We don't want that. I don't want you to find a job, right, that is a good fit for you and you not be able to maintain that job because of your energy. Because that needs to be in alignment. That's what makes me different in the way that I coach around this kind of stuff, this career stuff. But I'm very strategic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not all the whole fluffy, like, the whole, like, just, think about it and then everything, like, flows in and whatever. Like, I'm not onto the extreme end. I ain't hating on that. But I'm saying I'm not onto that level because you still take action. I believe, like, part of having the faith is you taking action on it, too. Okay? So I feel like that was a long way about going about my tip. It's about focus on what you want, but it's really about how you want to feel and generating that in your life now. In other ways. Okay, so let me read this to you. What you put your attention on amplifies in your reality. Focus on things that make you anxious and you'll become more anxious. Focus on things that inspire you and you'll feel more powerful. So instead of terrifying yourself by focusing on what you don't want to happen, focus on what you'd love to make happen and never discount the cost of inaction. As world champion surfer Lane Beachley says, focus on what inspires you, not on what scares you. So this is really about generating the right kind of energy. So I want to tell you this quick story that aligns with this. So when we were in Utah recently, we ended up visiting Ian's cousins who live out there. And we were talking about how much we admire his cousin's husband because he loves the outdoors activities and whatnot. But it's really interesting because he loves to ski and stuff. And with skiing, there can be a risk of an avalanche happening. And you getting pretty much buried alive, freezing, suffocating, and dying underneath the snow. Like this is a thing that happens. It's completely terrifying. And this just happened recently to one of Ian's friends where his wife and him, or maybe it was his girlfriend, they were snowshoeing out in the area with their dog. And there was an avalanche and they were buried underneath it. And they ended up passing as a result of that. So it's absolutely terrifying, right? Well, these fears can keep a lot of people from even doing the outdoor activity or the skiing, right? Because they're so focused on all of the bad that could happen. So they don't show up to do the thing. That's where their mind goes. So what's really interesting about Ian's cousin is that he knows that there's these risks, but what he does is like he invests in all these courses and he's learning how to be safe out there when he is doing the activity. And I love that because it's a different mindset. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, I mean, he's still thinking about what could go wrong, but he sees it as like, how can I overcome that? How can I make this more enjoyable? How can I make this safer for me? It's an opportunity focused mindset versus the mindset of like, no, I'm not ever going to do that. This could happen, this bad thing and this. And I hear that so often from people. And I'm like, man, you're going to let fear of what possibly could happen steal your life. Because that's what it's really doing. And maybe if it's not important for you to ski, like it's not important for me too, but other areas of our life, we can show up with that mindset. And often the ones that are saying that are also doing that in other areas of their life because it's a repeat pattern that manifests in different ways. So I'll give you another example. People often tell Ian and I, like, they're like, you're going to travel there? It's not safe there. Like, aren't you afraid? You're going to go hiking in the Appalachian Trail for so long on your own. Aren't you afraid that someone's going to try to hurt you? Are you worried about that? And it's like, we're not dumb. Like, I mean, we're not going to like not think that there aren't any risk associated with the things that we're doing, but I'm not going to let fear drive my life. Like, I'm not going to not do something because of the fear of what could happen. There's risk with everything we do, So just think about that in your own life. What does that look like for you? I know for me, what it used to look like is like, and I do see this with my clients, so I got to bring it up. Whereas like, let's say they're going to switch a job. This was a story for me too. And I was like, well, what if I don't like that job? What if I leave this job and I don't like that one? And what if I I end up working with people, I don't like, or what if I make the wrong decision, right? And your mind goes into all of these negative things that could happen. And I want you to pay attention to that. And instead think, what if this was awesome? So, or maybe even so, what if you don't like it? Then you can change. You can change your life anytime you want, right? Right? It's true. Then you can learn. There's an opportunity for you. You made some new connections, whatever. There's always opportunity there. So just watch your mind do that and shift it. Like, get curious about that. Why do I think that? Where did that come from? Validate yourself. Makes sense you would think that, given that's everybody in your whole family for your whole life has told you that life needs to look like this. And maybe you're supposed to stay in your job forever, like, right? Or whatever it is. There's all this stuff that we learn from society about how we need to be. And that's oftentimes why we have like this generation of fears from this belief that we've learned from other things that maybe we don't even want to believe, is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, that was a long little story, but I feel like it served you. It served you, okay? We're moving on to the third thing. Dress like who you want to be. This generates confidence for you, energy for you. Really think about this. Sometimes people are like, I don't care. I don't care what I look like. And the thing is like, maybe you don't care necessarily what you look like, but how do you feel? Do you care about how you feel? And how is what you're putting on helping you feel the way you want? Is it? Is it? Something to think about. So for me, for example, I always say this. I'm a completely different person in my sweatpants, I feel like. If I go to the grocery store and I got sweatpants on and I'm looking scrub because probably I just got working out or something, I just don't really care to talk to anyone. I'm like, yeah, I'm scrubby right now. I'm not feeling the most confident right now. This is me. This is my story. But if I show up and I got like, maybe I threw my blazer on, or maybe I just got workout clothes on, but they're cute and I look polished, like I feel different. I show up differently. And I'm not saying any specific outfit is what you should be wearing, but I want you to be intentional about how you are dressing. Does it generate the feeling you want? Maybe that day you're like, you know what I want today? I want to chill with my coffee. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to journal, and I want to be comfy. All right, girl, put your sweatpants on. Put your comfy sweater on. Like, that's very intentional of you to do that. But do you want to feel like that every day? Like where you're just like, I'm just comfy today, chilling. I'm not going to plan on doing much. I'm going to keep my sweatpants on. Probably not. You probably don't want to do that every day, right? So how can we think about like really being intentional about our clothing, right? To generate the kind of confidence we want. I'm going to tell you the story because I thought it was so good. Let me tell you. So Barbara Corcoran, I forget Barbara's last name, how to say it, but you know her from Shark Tank, Anyways, I remember hearing this story where she talked about one of the best investments she's ever made. She was working in real estate and someone gave her the opportunity to work for them. And she rented out this apartment that was like a dungeon, but ended up actually making money on it. So the additional money was given to her. So she got an additional, what is it, like $1,000 or something like that. It was her first chunk of money that she had made. And guess what she did? She ran over to this fancy coat store and she said, I blew the money on a coat. And she said it was one of the best investments she made. And you're like, what? Why? And she said it allowed her to dress the part and to project confidence in a cutthroat real estate industry. Because she wanted to feel like she could walk the part, right? Like she was a realtor. She was like putting on this coat, made her look good, feel good. And she's like, I can do this work. She wanted to dress the part. And it's really about the energy that she felt, right? That caused her to be successful in real estate after that. And it was really generated by putting something on and really like being like, I feel good in this. She said before that, it was what she did was she dressed like a poor kid from Edgewater. That's what she said. I dressed like a poor kid. And that's not the kind of energy she needed. She needed to have this kind of abundance, confidence energy to be the kind of realtor she wanted to be. So she turned that $1,000 loan into a $6 billion business. $6 billion. 1,000 turned to $6 billion. Okay, so she said she bought, this isn't her words, I bought the fanciest damn coat, brown and white herringbone with real pearl buttons, 3/4 length with fur, real fur, not fake fur, and I wore that coat for the next 3 years. I'm like, yes, I love this. Okay, so I love this because one of my identities that I've been working on, my identity-based goals for this year, is really being intentional with my wardrobe. I never knew what that meant, like being intentional with your wardrobe. What do you mean by that? Like, and I'm talking about being like getting the wardrobe that helps me be who I want to be. What? I'm looking at this in a completely different way than I used to. Okay. It's not just about like having the simple things and the capsule wardrobe. No. Does your wardrobe help you be the person you want to be? One of the other identities I have is that I want to be what? I want to be toned. I want to be confident. I want to inspire other people to be healthy too. That's one of the new things I've been telling myself. And so what have I done recently is I've been looking at all the cute workout clothes. Like, I'm not all about buying a bunch of stuff. I live in a tiny house, let's be real. But I'm about being intentional about what I do have. So I've been looking at even my trainers that I admire, like how they dress. I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, you're fit, you're confident. Like, I want to be like you. Everybody thinks like that. Like around, we look to other people and we admire them. That's how our brain is wired. We're tribal. We look to other people and we're like, I want to be like you. I want to be a part of your tribe. So I look at them and I'm like, what are you wearing? Like, oh, that's how you dress. And that's how you project confidence. And maybe you do wear your little crop top because you know that if you're going to keep wearing that top, you want to be toned. So it reminds you of like, I'm not going to eat all the crap because I want to look good in this thing. Right? So anyways, I've been thinking about that in my own life. Like, so I went and I bought a new like nice zip up sweater that I've been wanting. Like, I'm really particular about the colors that I wear. And I found one that was like the color I wanted. It was the right size and it was way more than I've ever paid for a zip up sweater. But I was like, you know what? Like, this is part of my identity. Like, I want to feel good in what I'm wearing. Right? I want to be intentional about what I have. And I'm willing to make that investment for my own energy because it's an investment in my energy and that always pays off. I'm not saying be dumb about your money because there's another level where you can just be dumb and go buy all the things, right? But there's a level of where you can be very intentional about what you do get. And is this helping you feel more confident? Feel the way that you want to feel. Be the person that you want to be. Just think about that. Even just simple things like, I tell my clients with career stuff, like we used to meet a lot in person, right, for interviews. And I would say like, invest in like a really nice like little folder for yourself where you can put your resume or whatever, your notes in there, whatever you want, and carry that in, make it look nice, make you feel good. So also when they look at you, they're like, oh, you look like you got your stuff together. You have this nice, maybe leather portfolio binder thing or whatever it is that looks nice. Same thing with your shoes. Like think about how you want to feel and invest in that. Okay, not only does it change your perception of yourself, it also changes a lot of times other people's perception of you because they judge you less than 2 seconds. They've already made a judgment about you. That means they're looking at your clothing, straight up. I want to be better about this because I've been known to show up in my workout clothes to all the things. I mean, that's part of my identity, but even then it's like I can still wear workout clothes and feel better in them, like with a different kind of style, or just noticing, like checking with myself. Does this make me feel good or does it not? Like my sweatpants, is this inspiring right now? But what about these really cute yoga pants and this nice zip up? That shifts my energy. So it doesn't always have to be like a completely different style of clothing, but just checking in with yourself. Does this make me feel the way I want to feel? Answer is no. Get rid of the dang thing. Get yourself something new that makes you feel good. All right. So that tip was basically, in a nutshell, dress like who you want to be. You want to be a confident person? Dress like a confident person. A confident person in your field, what would they dress like? Dress like them. All right. The next tip I have for you is to channel your heroes when you do something. The whole bracelets, the WWJD, what would Jesus do? Those bracelets. That was like in an effort to channel a hero. And people would wear them around. They would think, in this situation, what would Jesus do? And try to act like him, right? But you can do this with other heroes in your life too. So like, what would so-and-so do in this situation? Like, I I've had people tell me that they've wanted to sleep in and not work out and just like when they wake up in the morning, and then they would think, what would Angela do? She'd get up. What would she do in this situation? And it's really like an honor to me to hear that, because I'm like, they'll say that they hear me at night, like whispering these things in their mind. It's kind of funny. Like, make yourself proud, like the kind of things that I say. But really, like, think about that for you. Like, for me, who's a hero to you? And what would they do in this situation? How would they show up? I even thought about this as like, sometimes like, okay, there was a hot tub in Park City where we were at. It was beautiful because you got to go outside in a hot tub and they had the big, beautiful mountain views. I felt like I was living a bougie life over here. I was like, what is this life? This feels so good. Although I could go to my sister's house and stay in her hot tub, but anyhow, I don't have a hot tub over here in the tiny house. So living this bougie life where there's a hot tub, I felt like there's beautiful mountain views and whatnot. And sometimes it was really cold to the point that your hair would freeze. And when you're inside, you're like, I want to go to the hot tub, but I don't want to go there because I don't want to freeze in the process. And the old me would not do stuff because of the discomfort associated with getting there and making it happen, And then I would sit there. This is an example of me channeling a hero of mine, is I would think of so-and-so and I would think of, what would they do in this situation? They'd be like, we're doing it. They'll jump out and run out there and like get in there. They'd be willing to be uncomfortable for the joy, right? And sometimes I just, in all kinds of situations, when I'm going out to eat, what would my personal trainer get to eat right now? I'm going to channel my hero. How would they act in this situation? Oh, they're afraid that they're about to speak on a stage or do a public speaking thing. What would they do? They would do it anyways. They would show up anyways. One of my mentors always talks about how she does things when she doesn't feel ready. She never feels ready. She thinks that's a lie, right? She's never going to feel that way, but she'll do it anyways. She'll show up. And how do you build confidence truly is by you showing up and practicing the thing. And then you start to become more confident with doing it. An example is, I remember when I taught my first class, and there was a bunch of people, sitting in the audience. I was teaching class. I was so nervous, guys. I was shaking. I drank coffee. Don't be drinking coffee before you go do something that scares you. Like I always tell clients this before interviews, like coffee, like right before, it's a stimulant. So it's going to rev up your flight or flight responses, right? So anyways, you got to think about that. So if you're already feeling nervous, we're going to take it to a whole nother notch with the stimulant that would probably help you run away from something. Like if you think in a primal environment, right? Primally. So anywho, I drank a bunch of coffee that morning. I was feeling really nervous and I was literally shaking. Like when I was talking to people, like I had papers in my hand. I was shaking with those papers to the point after I got done teaching, people were like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I'm like, holy cow, because I was so nervous. I didn't have the confidence, but I needed to practice it over and over. I wanted to crawl in a hole. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I just want to crawl in a hole and just like erase everything that just happened. This happened to me the other day. I had the same feeling. It was around another situation. But you know what I tell myself is like, what would so-and-so do, my mentor? They'd get back up. They'd show up again. And then after a while, you start to build the confidence. Now I'm not as scared to go and speak in front of people publicly anymore. I mean, I still get scared, I ain't gonna lie, but not to the level that I used to be. Because I've generated more confidence around it because I've practiced it over and over and I channeled my heroes and I thought, what would they do? Even if it was a crappy day, they'd show up anyways. They show up again. And I know this because I've heard them tell stories about their first times doing stuff and they didn't crawl in a hole and disappear after the fact. They still showed up again, Okay, we're moving on to the last tip I have for you is to act as if in practice. I kind of just gave you that tip already. Practice it, and then you generate the confidence. But to act as if, and this is kind of going back to like the whole clothing thing is like you're acting like the person that you want to be. You're acting like that confident person, how they would dress, right? You're kind of like pretending to be that person. You know what's really interesting about pretending is that you end up being that. After you pretend over and over, because what happens is you're training your brain to be like that, to think like that, to feel like that, to show up like that. Whatever you practice over and over, you get good at and you program. So your mind, here's some stuff I wrote down. Your mind actively monitors your behavior to determine your mood. And so if you are feeling sad, but you force a smile, like you pretend to be happy, your mind will conclude that you can't be that sad after all, and will order the release of more happy hormones. So this is the mind-body connection thing too, but this is you pretending. And literally on a hormonal level, this stuff is changing in your body. He said, so William James also said, if you want a quality, act as if you already have it. If you want confidence, act as if you already are confident, in a nutshell. The other thing too, he said, it's not just related to our facial expressions, like pretending to smile and be happy, and then we actually end up generating those hormones after a period of time, but it's also related to the way we move. So think about this. Like if you're watching someone, like let's just say you're observing people and you see someone moving slowly, their shoulders are hunched down, right? And they're just like, moving. And you don't think of that person as very energized or confident. You're like, no, not confident, not confident. Like let's say we're out pointing fingers and judging everybody. Like we're people watching and doing that. Don't act like you don't do that. You know, we all do that. Anyhow, let's say someone else is walking and they stand up tall and they move quicker, like they're kind of like they're on a mission, not like I'm frazzled, energized, like that kind of frazzled energy, stressed out, running from something, but more of like I got business to do, my shoulders are up high, whatever. You're like, they're confident. They're a confident person. So think about this with you is like, do you actually project confidence with your body? And are you generating that with your hormones? Most of us are not. Most of us are sitting crunched over. After 2 minutes, what happens? We're generating those hormones. A lot of us are crunched over our laptops, just crunched down, sitting anywhere, not even thinking about our posture, and we are generating flight or fight related hormones. We can sit up taller. I've been working on this because I tend to crunch down a lot. And I've been noticing that. Like even Ian called me out. I remember when we were hiking and he's taken some pictures and he's like, Ange, like you keep on slouching. Like you're just like, and I'm like, cause I'm freaking tired. I was so tired. We had to hike to like 700 miles. And that lower energy was being shown. Like I was crunched down and it looked like I was not feeling my most confident self. And I was like, you're right. Like all I got to do right now is stand taller, open up my body because I want to project confidence. I want it to seem like I am enjoying this. Like I really was enjoying the experience, but I was tired. And that's another thing that will happen is you'll crunch down. Feeling tired in life, feeling burnt out, what do? Crunch down. Okay, so think about that. If you're in an environment and you want to act like you're more confident, you're going in somewhere, you're meeting new people for the first time, can you stand taller? Can you open up your body? Wear the things that make you feel good. Tell yourself, I am a confident person. Or if I was, channel my hero. If I was so-and-so, how would they show up right now? What would they say? Right? What would they order on the menu if we're going out to eat? And a lot of this too, guys, is related to, Amy Cuddy's work and her TED Talk about body language. She talks a lot about power posing and how it literally releases testosterone for us, which makes us more brave, makes it show up more confident. Your body matters with this stuff of generating confidence. If you can't do it in the mind, what do? You do it in the body. And then also get that energy flowing in the morning like we talked about. Tip number 1 is make yourself proud first thing in the morning. And that's you generating the right kind of hormones for how you want to show up in the world. You want to be brave about how you live this life, right? So generate confidence first thing in the morning. And then you'll go after the things that matter to you versus having regrets at the end of your life like a lot of people do. We got to be intentional about designing our life. That's why we're here. Okay, so let's go back to all the tips. We're going to do a quick recap. Is 1, you make yourself proud first thing in the morning. You can move your body, do whatever feels good to you. You can start small with 5 minutes. You can join us in our February challenge. I'll have the link for you in the show notes, or you can search 5-minute February daily workout challenge. Second thing is to focus on what it is you want, how you want to feel. How can you generate those feelings now? If you had that thing that you wanted, how would you feel? How can you generate that feeling now? Okay. Then the third thing is to dress like who you want to be. Dress in a way that helps you feel like the kind of person you want to be. And then the last tip that we have for you, keep going. We have another tip, channel your heroes. What would they do? Like WWJD, WW, whatever, AD. FD. I don't know who your hero is. Okay. 5, act as if, and you practice. You practice acting like the person you want to be, and you'll become it. Whatever you practice, whatever you repeat over and over and over, you program and you become. So we act as if. Act like a confident person. Walk in like you're a confident person. Talk like a confident person. A lot of times, if you pay attention to confident people, people that are excited, they'll talk faster. Like, I'm a fast talker because I get excited. But if you think about it, people that are often very confident, they show up as themselves. They're kind of quirky or whatever. At least the people I admire that are confident, they keep it real, right? They also, like, I feel like they articulate very well when they're speaking, you know? That's just something I've noticed. They use their hands. They're not all like putting their hands in the pockets, crossing their arms. Like, that's not projecting confidence. So think about these kinds of things when it's related to your body too, because this changes your hormones, as we said. All right, so those are the 5 things. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave us a review and have the best day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.